I got some new stuff for Boogaboo, so let's go play. Now, as you've all heard me say more than once, I'm not a fan of anything Raymarine, Raytheon, whatever. I just don't have confidence in it. And it's not as intuitive or straightforward as other products that we've used, such as Standard Horizon. So, still on the list is to replace the GPS, the chart plotter on this boat. We're not quite there yet, and we'll see how that works out over the season. We're already starting to get into the serious boating season. And I'd like to wrap up as many projects as I can right now, so the GPS may have to wait till the end of the season, maybe even next year, we'll see. But what I am going to do, my friends, for your dining and dancing pleasure, is swap out the old Raymarine Ray, what is this piece of junk called? The Ray55 VHF radio that's on this boat, because I don't like it. And I have our old Standard Horizon VHF radio. Now when I say old, it's been around, it's probably 10 years old. We had it on our 2 prior boats. Never let me down, never failed. Easy to work. It's awesome. It's got a great feature. It has sound, a background noise canceling setting thing, whatever, in the mic. So when one is talking on a windy day, for example, and hailing somebody or talking using the radio for conversational purposes, it will cancel out the background noise and the wind noise especially, so it works really, really good. And I've been reported back to friends that I've been talking with on the radio that it's very clear all the time. And I can, scroll up and down through the channels right on the mic, which I could do on the Raymarine if I chose to keep that Raymarine, so it ain't gonna happen, and that is coming out now. So as you can see, I'm well into it. I've taken this unit out. Now I haven't made any disconnections other than the VHF radio, or sorry, the antenna itself. So I did that just so I could drop it on the floor. Power is straightforward in and out. There's an external speaker which I'm going to employ on the other radio as well, and the only thing I have to decipher is the in and out supply wires for it to communicate with the chart plotter, with the GPS. I looked up the manuals for the radio, and it is showing 4 wires, as you can see, connections, whereas on the Standard Horizon it only calls for 3. So what I'm guessing, and there is a 4th wire on here, but it says right in the manual, not used. So I don't know what they were thinking, why they would have even introduced that. So what I am guessing is, logically, you would need positive for the inbound signal, positive for the outbound signal, and then a common ground. Whereas this is showing in, out, ground, and ground. Ground in and ground out, which to me doesn't make any sense, because that should just be a common ground. So I am going to go with that thought, and one of 3 things is going to transpire. It's either not going to work, or I'm going to blow up the radio, or blow up the chart plotter. Those last 2 options I'm okay with. So let's get into it. I got the GoPro running in the background, and I'm going to just start cutting wires and digging into it. Now what I did do is I just went online and I downloaded the owner's manuals for each of these radios. So I have, as you can see, there is the specs, or sort of the wiring diagram for the Standard Horizon radio, which is going to be going in. And if I zoom in there, you can see NMEA out positive, NMEA out negative, and then NMEA in positive. So again, I'm going to guess that ground is just a shared ground, right? Like it says right there, it shows green in negative, gray, out positive, brown, out negative. So again, that doesn't even make, oh no, alright, there we go, see? Blue, let me read that again. Sorry folks, it's difficult to try and focus the camera and read the writing. So we have NMEA input positive, right? Connect to positive out of GPS, and then there is a negative, connect to negative out of GPS, and then the output positive connect to output of GPS, and then the brown NMEA output negative, no connection. So then when I go to the manual for the Raymarine, it's showing, see, positive from radio, and then out brown. So again, I don't even know what that does. So there's positive out, positive in, and then ground, and then that brown wire, which is a mystery wire, and I'm gonna guess that's just got something to do with the, you know, the funky Raymarine network system crapola. So I think I'll cut that wire first. Oh, look at that, that wire's almost sliced right through anyways. Huh. Okay, back to some serious cutting. Now the first thing I got to do is make sure all the connections are similar. The plug that went in here, the male end, is probably still on the last boat, so I'm just going to put these quick disconnects on here and there to make sure that everything is compatible and hooked up easily. And I'm going to put more common male and female connectors on that, so that'll be a lot easier to unplug if I ever have to. As you can see, I am fully equipped all the time on the boat with electrical connectors. I got all these shrink wraps. I got this from these kits from a place called Princess Auto, which is all over here in Canada, and is probably similar to, what is that place called in the States, Harbor Freight. So it's just inexpensive, made in China stuff, but it's good. It's great to have on the boat. These kits are very, very reasonable. Everybody should have one, and they should always be on the boat, because yes, I have done emergency repairs, both electrical, plumbing, whatnot, on the water, and it's so cool to have everything and be self-reliant with this stuff. So here's a little tip for you when using these crimp connectors. What I do is, see, this is a big strong one, and this will accept up to probably a 14 gauge wire. So since these wires are only 18 gauge, I strip a little bit more of the sheathing off, the insulation, and then I fold it over, and that's gonna, in essence, double the surface area, just so that when this gets stuck on here, it provides more surface area to contact that the connector. And then when I crimp it down, it's going to be a stronger bond, basically. Now another quick tip is, when I did these, I used the female ends on the actual supply lines coming from the boat and the male ends here, simply because if you ever have to unplug the radio and you leave it, you don't have to worry about potentially bare wires dangling around that are live, and then, you know, touching each other, shorting out, or shorting out with another wire inside the boat. So the supplies that are coming from the boat itself have the female ends, just so they're protected. So there we have limited success. Nothing's blown up yet, so it's powering on. Let me just shut that off. So there we go. Boom. We're back. Nothing on. It's not picking up anything here on 16 inside the marina. We're too far away from the lake, but well, we don't want to hear about showers, but as you can see, it works. Ta-da! I just have to break for a minute because Anchor Girl had to come in and get herself a drink, so I had to move to get her funky Florida Beach Life glass. Show everybody your glass, my dear. See, it's got a little anchor on it. It says Beach Life, right?
Beach, please.
Beach, please. Smirnoff, please. Okay, so now that the background noise is leaving,
shit.
What did you do? You spilt your drink.
Rest.
Now, as you just saw, Anchor Girl was just in here getting herself a drink while I slave away. And she looks down and she sees this, to her eyes, this giant mess. And of course I get the usual, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" To which I give her my normal reply is, "Don't worry about it, honey, I'll figure it out." But she always gets disconcerted when she sees too many tools, too many wires, too many pieces of equipment all over the floor. But it's coming along nicely. And I'll put her all back together. Whether it's working or not, at least you'll see that it's all back together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the wires that are the communication wires between the radio and the plotter, the GPS. I don't know why I keep calling that stupid thing a plotter. It's not a chart plotter. It's a multi-function unit that has not enough functions for my liking. Anyway, so what I'm going to do with the power of the GPS shut off, I'm going to cut these wires, but I'm not going to just cut them off the radio itself. This is the radio, this is the GPS lines. I'm going to cut them both together. So I know what the gray label says, and so if I do that, I know that the gray from the radio, because I have that manual, is attached to the yellow. So gray becomes yellow. Do you get what I'm saying? And then the same here, the purple that is coming out, the purple line that's coming out from the radio is attached to this brown wire, mostly coming from the GPS. So I cut them together, and purple is brown for my purposes. The brown from the radio is green, so brown is green. Right? And then finally we have the blue from the radio, which is going out to white, or coming into, depending on the orientation. Oh my God, look at that, those two just fell apart. So the Schnitzel ist Sundancer. And now, oh my God, they're completely disconnected. I hope I remember how that goes. Now here is another tip, or at least a little bit of insight. Now again, this is the cable that's running from the GPS to supply the communication with the radio. And I just was cleaning back some of the sheathing so that I could have some more wire to work with. And as you can see, there's like a foil type wrap around these wires. Now what that is going to be doing is protecting the wires from radio interference. Now I'm sure that there's someone somewhere at some point in time is going to watch this video and say, "Oh, you're supposed to replace that and protect all your wires." Just to be clear, folks, this is the way I do it. This is not necessarily the only way, the best way, or the better way. It's my way. And I'm happy with it. Again, I've been doing this for years, never had any issues. Not to say that it's not necessarily the best way to do it, but it works for me. So take that little bit of wisdom with you moving forward if you ever want to do this yourself. And before I get too much farther, I just want to make sure that this plate, which actually screws to the dashboard here, is going to fit on there. This is the one that came off from behind there, so I may have to just cut this out a little bit more to make it work. So I'm going to do that now that these wires are basically all disconnected, except that one. I'm going to slide that through there and just make sure it's going to fit. Well, I schnitzeled back the escutcheon plate, so the radio is now mounted onto that, which again will go onto the dash. Now I just want to show you the neat system that they have for attaching that to that. And it's kind of like a clampy thing. This just screws onto the side of the radio, and then these things will just wheel down to put pressure on that to hold it in place. And then there's locking nuts and lock washers, so it shouldn't go anywhere. Now if you saw at the beginning, one of those had come off, the old radio, and fallen down inside the dash. I think they just didn't tighten these on properly. So it's all neat, clean, and ready to go. So I'm just going to plug it in, plug all the components back in, set her in place, and then take it out for a test drive. Okay, she's all back in place, nice, neat, and solid. Fire up. Oh, you can see it, no time down, and look at that, the time, position, and speed at 0 knots, as well as our heading. We're facing almost exactly, precisely due north, 359 degrees, true north. And I hooked up the external speaker to this, which sounds a little bit better, a little bassier.
Angus, tonight, a few clouds.
Wow.
Low 12. For Sunday, increasing cloudiness. Showers beginning in the afternoon.
Of course, that's the robot weather guy. So that's that. It's all working. It's showing the position, which it's taken from this machine up here. And I'm all happy. The only thing I want to do is get a better, or the correct hook for the back of the mic, so it can just hook on there, as opposed to this, because that's a bit of a, I don't like it. So I'll just get a hook to go in there, and we're good. And boom, off. Wow. And the piece de resistance. Hey. This is going in the garbage. So another one of those bit of a farting around job, little bit of head scratching to figure out which way the wires are going for the GPS, but I got it in the first try, so that's pretty good. Again, hope you learned something. Leave your questions and comments down below. As always, I look forward to reading your questions and comments. Now, it is getting on to be 4 o'clock on Saturday night, and I'm already getting the eye from Anchor Grill. It's time to start the barbecue. And I think there's ice cold Coronas in the fridge too, so I'm going to hit one of those up. That's it for now. Cheers! Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos coming out. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Daily updates there, and always lively conversation on Facebook, so you don't want to miss it. And you can also follow us at boatsbeachesandbars.com, where you're going to find even more links to all sorts of neat things, including our online store. And you'll find all the links to everything mentioned up here, down there in the description, so you'll have no excuse not to follow along. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.